Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have quite a lot to get through, and we begin with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Just like many Disney Plus shows, more and more information is coming out about the Kenobi show after the fact. In yesterday's video we spoke about Stuart Beattie's comments on the original plan to make Kenobi a trilogy of movies instead of a TV show, but now in a new interview with The Direct, the original writer on the project talks about Riva, a character that he created. He shared his dismay with Lucasfilm, who took the character in a different direction than he planned, and he even says there's so much that doesn't make sense about the backstory she eventually got on screen. Let's dive into it. The Direct asked him if Riva was in the early drafts of the movie script, and Beattie says, "She was my creation. I created Riva all the way through." He continues by discussing Reva's view on the Jedi as villains, and how the character originally had no knowledge that Anakin was Vader. This is what he said. "Yeah, except the only difference in mine was that she didn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin. Cause I was like, how'd she know that? All she saw was Anakin as Anakin, because he hadn't changed in the suit yet. So Anakin killed her friends, put the scar on her, almost killed her, left her for dead basically." So in her mind, the Jedi Council were the biggest villains in the galaxy. She believed the lies that they were plotting a coup to overtake and get power and all of that, but they were stopped by the clones. So she believed that's why she's hunting Jedi, because she believed the Jedi are the worst, basically. And what he's saying here makes a lot of sense, because in the show itself, Kenobi draws a connection between Order 66 and Reva knowing that Anakin is Vader, but as Beattie says, when Anakin storms the temple with the 501st, he was not in the suit yet, so how could she have known that he was Vader? In my opinion, or I guess you could say my headcanon, one way to make sense of it is that after Anakin left her for dead, she found her way into the security recordings at the Jedi Temple and watched the hologram that Obi-Wan and Yoda saw, the one where Granddaddy Palps declares Anakin as Vader. So Beattie then goes on to talk about Reva's original fate. Now the Making Star Wars leak said originally that Reva was gonna die, and then a few weeks later they clarified their source told them the ending was changed, and in this new interview, this information seems to be confirmed. Beattie says the following: "Because I figured, how would she know that this thing in a mechanical suit that everyone calls Darth Vader is the guy who killed her or tried to kill her? So it was Obi-Wan kind of letting her in on that secret, and that revelation that makes her kind of go, oh my god, I've been wrong this whole time." And so she goes and basically saved Kenobi by sacrificing herself, telling Vader, "I killed Kenobi." And then Vader killed her with her knowing that Vader would kill her. And as the leak stated, guys, this is because Vader obviously knows that she's lying. So that kind of completed her arc. And then he goes on to say why it's so important that the third sister Reva went on to die. He, along with many other fans, agree that her dying in season 1 would have been so much more powerful. This is what he said: "Yeah, killed by Vader at the end of it. I wanted this story, I wanted her story to end. I wanted Reva to play her part in the Kenobi Vader story, which was essentially, she was the one that allowed Vader, basically told Vader to stop hunting Kenobi. You know, she ended the obsession Vader had with Kenobi. She claimed it was over, it was done, so that was her role to play, and she'd done so many terrible things, I felt like she had to die. You can only redeem so much." And herein lies the situation we find ourselves in now. While in many ways I enjoyed Reva's story arc in the show, the big question is, where does she go now? What happens to her going forward? We simply have no clue what's in store for her now that she gave up her inquisitorial ways. And while I would like to think that Disney and Lucasfilm have a big plan for a story going forward, if the change to the ending was made last minute and they cut the death scene, I don't know if they know what to do with her now. We don't know if they have more story for her mapped out. So it might be a very long time until we find out what happens to her. Now Stuart Beattie also confirmed that the original plans for Obi-Wan Kenobi did not include any of the other Inquisitors, just Reva. It was Dave Filoni's idea to bring in the fifth brother and the Grand Inquisitor. So this is what he said: "So no other plans to include any other Inquisitors. I knew I wanted Darth Vader obviously as the big overall villain in the story, and I see him as an antagonist who was going to be more one-on-one with Obi-Wan throughout the show. So Reva really was the result of that. I knew I needed that character." And then he goes on to talk about Order 66. He says, "Of course, there are so many great characters from the Purge, the Great Purge of the Temple and everything. It was just like, okay, let's see what she was doing at the Purge. What if she saw everything that went down? What if Anakin/Vader killed her, left her for dead, and sent her on this path?" So all of that kind of stuff just kind of made sense and allowed me to create a very confused, conflicted, blinded character filled with hate and rage and all of the stuff that makes people want to be Sith and Sith acolytes and take her to a place of understanding truth, understanding who Obi-Wan is, who Vader really is, and what her path is in the galaxy. And while Lucasfilm did use a lot of his ideas in the end, the two crucial elements they changed were Reva knowing Anakin is Vader after the Temple March and her surviving the season. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the character in the future. But what do you guys think? Should Reva have survived the season as she did, or would you have preferred Stuart Beattie's original idea? And so finally he talks about creating Reva. He said she even existed, at least in his creative mind, before Jedi Fallen Order. The director asked him specifically about Trilla Suduri and if Reva was influenced by that character, and this is what he said. So I hadn't played Fallen Order. I wrote this initially in 2017, so that was before I played Fallen Order, and then I played Fallen Order and I was like, oh wow, this is Reva. No look, it's just a coincidence. I wanted to create a new character because I didn't want to be bound by any canon with any of the others that have already been discussed, and I wanted freedom to take her where I wanted to take her, so that's why I created her for this story. And that's the other thing too, we're already using so many characters in established canon with Obi, Darth, Owen, Beru, so I was looking to create someone new. I even had Cody in mind, and as we know guys, there were so many original rumours that Commander Cody was going to appear in the Kenobi series, and a lot of what Making Star Wars said in their leaks is coming true, because they said that Cody was pulled out quite early, and now we're going to see him in the Bad Batch Season 2, where Cody's story is going to be continued. That is so exciting as a prospect, whether it was going to be an animation or live action. We all want to know what happened to him, and the more important question, is he going to have a redemption arc? Let's wait and see. But going back to Reva, I think the comparison with the second sister, Trilla Suduri, is an appropriate one, because on some level as fans, we expected Reva to suffer the same fate that she did in Jedi Fallen Order. Inquisitors at the end of the day were just disposable assets, disposable cogs of the Imperial machine. Vader used them in the strictest sense of the word. Their autonomy, personalities, and individual desires meant nothing to him, and any defiance meant instant death. They were terrified of him. I mean, why else do you think the Grand Inquisitor said that famous line in Star Wars Rebels? But now that it's been revealed that Reva was originally going to sacrifice herself, does her survival hint at Kenobi Season 2, or maybe a Reva spin-off? Many fans expected her to be killed at the hands of Vader or the Grand Inquisitor in the show's final episode, but since she didn't have another interaction with either of them and left the Inquisitors and the Empire, she is now free to have more story going forward. But where are they going to tell it? If there is going to be Season 2 of Kenobi, then it's very likely Reva is going to be along for the ride. She's built a kind of relationship with Obi-Wan, she now trusts him a lot more, and she might even join Roken and Quinlan Vos in the path. But Stuart Beattie's words are certainly eyebrow-raising and give us a lot of insight into what occurred early in the creative process. So one final thing, my dear friends, Shadow of the Sith has now been released. I've started listening to the audiobook, and I must say, I'm very impressed. It's a story that contextualizes The Force Awakens, and I must say, I was not expecting it to be this engaging. I will be doing a full book review at some stage in the future when I finish it, but for now guys, I will say I highly recommend it. A very compelling read. But with that said guys, I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts of this new interview in the comments down below. What do you make of Beattie's original plan for Reva, Kenobi and Darth Vader? And would you have preferred that ending to what we got? Share your thoughts down below guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.